He stopped for a quick haircut on a street corner, only to realize the man holding the razor used to be the one who taught him how to dream. And what happened next left the whole city talking. The buzz of traffic echoed along the sidewalks of downtown Atlanta, where food carts sizzled, taxis honked, and pedestrians flowed like clockwork. At the corner of 9th and Jefferson, a small setup caught the attention of passers-by. A folding chair, a plastic mirror taped to a pole, and a handwritten sign, $5 haircuts, no appointment, no questions. Grayson Wells, 36, stepped out of his black town car, checking his reflection in the tinted window. As the CEO of a real estate tech firm, his schedule was stacked, but a last-minute investor meeting had him desperate for a cleanup. His driver pointed. "Want to risk it, sir?" Grayson raised an eyebrow, then smirked. "Why not?" He approached the makeshift barber station and sat, loosening his tie. The man behind him was in his 50s, quiet, focused, with silver at his temples and deep lines in his face. His hands were strong but careful. "Just a trim?" the barber asked. "Yeah, clean but quick." The clippers hummed to life. A few minutes in, Grayson asked, "What's your name?" Aaron James." And just like that, Grayson froze. That name, that voice, a memory surged forward. High school, 3rd row, last seat near the window. Aaron James, the straight-A student, the science fair king, the kid who solved calculus problems before they were taught. "Aaron James?" Grayson asked, turning his head slightly. "From Northcrest High?" The clippers stopped. "Yeah," Aaron said slowly. "Did we?" Grayson stood, stunned. "It's me, Grayson Wells. You tutored me before the state exams. You used to beat every teacher at their own lessons. How are you here?" Aaron smiled faintly. "Life happened." Grayson stared, heart pounding, not from shock but from shame. Because once upon a time, the man giving $5 haircuts had been the smartest guy in school. And now, he was cutting hair on a street corner. "What happened?" Grayson asked quietly. Aaron looked away. "Long story, but I never stopped cutting, or dreaming." And in that moment, Grayson knew. This wouldn't be his last haircut here. In fact, this might be where a much bigger story was about to begin. Grayson didn't leave after the haircut. Instead, he sat back down. This time, not as a customer, but as a man trying to understand how the brightest light in his past had somehow ended up here. Aaron unplugged the clippers and leaned against the pole, wiping his hands with a towel. "So, what happened?" Grayson asked again, softer this time. Aaron sighed, eyes scanning the street like he was reading something only he could see. "Scholarship to MIT, made it 1 year in," he began. "Then my mom got sick. Cancer. I dropped out to take care of her. Hospital bills ate up everything. When she passed, I didn't have a degree, no job, and dead up to my neck." Grayson's chest tightened. Aaron went on. "Tried working, but no one wanted to hire a dropout, even one with straight A's. Started cutting hair to get by. I figured if I could still make people feel better, it wasn't a waste." Grayson shook his head slowly. "You were a genius, man. We all knew it." Aaron gave a small, proud smile. "I still am. I just don't wear it on a name badge anymore." They talked for nearly an hour. About the past, about the teachers who favored Aaron, about the project they once did together on solar power that won state. "You said something back then," Grayson recalled. "You told me, smart people don't always win. Determined people do." "Still true," Aaron said, then nodded to his tiny barber station. "I may be on the sidewalk, but I'm still standing." Grayson sat in silence, watching people pass by, oblivious to the brilliance hidden behind a mirror taped to a pole. That night, Grayson couldn't sleep. He kept seeing Aaron's hands, still precise, his eyes still sharp, his words still wise, and one thought kept echoing. This man doesn't belong here, and if no one else would change that, Grayson would. Because sometimes fate forgets people like Aaron. But friends? Friends remember. 2 days later, Aaron opened his folding chair just like he did every morning, clipped the sign back to the pole, and plugged in his clippers using a nearby cafe's outdoor socket. Same corner, same rhythm, but something felt different in the air. At 10:07 a.m., a black SUV pulled up again. This time Grayson stepped out, not in a rush, not for a trim, but holding a sleek leather portfolio under his arm. "Morning, Professor," he said with a grin. Aaron laughed. "You're back already?" "Not for a haircut, for a proposal." Aaron raised a brow. Grayson handed him the folder. Inside, a job offer. Position: Director of Innovation and Youth Development Company. Wells Tech Community Division focus: building STEM programs for underserved youth. Salary: more than he'd seen in a decade. Aaron looked up, stunned. "Grayson, I'm not qualified for this anymore." "You're more than qualified," Grayson said firmly. "You've lived what half these kids are going through. You've solved problems on a street corner that our engineers couldn't in an air-conditioned lab." He paused, then added, "You taught me when no one else could reach me." "This isn't charity, Aaron. This is full circle." Aaron sat down slowly on his stool. "I haven't stepped in a lab in 20 years. "Then let's start with a classroom. You'll build the program. I'll fund it. We'll call it— what was that quote you used to say?" Aaron smiled faintly. "Give smart kids the tools, and they'll build the future." "Exactly," Grayson said. "So let's start building." By the end of the week, Aaron's Barber setup was gone. In its place, a laminated flyer taped to the pole. Barbershop closed, but the mind's still open. Find Mr. Aaron at Wells Tech Learning Hub. And below that, a new message, handwritten in permanent marker. Sometimes the smartest guy in class just needs someone to remind him he still is. Because Grayson hadn't just given Aaron a job. He gave him his voice back. 3 months later, the old corner at 9th, and Jefferson was quieter. No more buzz of clippers, no more folding chair. But in a brick building 2 blocks away, something far louder was happening. Laughter, learning, hope. The newly opened Wells Tech Learning Hub had transformed an abandoned warehouse into a community tech space for inner-city youth. And at the front of every classroom, drawing formulas on a whiteboard or breaking apart circuit boards with a grin, stood Aaron James, the former street barber, now Mr. James, Director of Innovation. His first program? Street Smart Science, a workshop for teens who had no laptops, no fancy tools, just grit and curiosity. He taught them how to code with old phones, built solar panels from scrap, told them stories about Newton, Curie, and the beauty of failure. "You don't need a perfect school," he'd say. "You need a problem that makes you curious enough to solve it." Kids loved him. Parents lined up to thank him. And every week Grayson stopped by, not as a boss, but as a student of the man who once tutored him under a chalkboard lamp. One afternoon, after class ended, Grayson stood at the back of the room and watched as a 13-year-old girl showed Aaron her solar-powered backpack prototype. "You're making engineers," Grayson said, stepping forward. Aaron smiled. "No," he said, watching the girl beam with pride. "I'm just reminding them they already are." Later that night, Grayson and Aaron sat outside under the same sky that once saw them as boys. "You ever miss the corner?" Grayson asked. Aaron looked up at the stars. "I miss the simplicity, but not the limits." "You broke those." Aaron turned, smiling. "We did." On the wall of the hub, a photo hung in a frame. 2 men, one in a suit, one in a flannel shirt, laughing together over a table of wires and coffee cups. Beneath it, a quote. Genius is not where you start. It's where you decide to begin again.